Charlie Dickens, Chapter 61, entitled Beach. The bird hopped along as if it didn't have a care in the world, and often it dropped the chip, and then it picked it up again determined. Charlie could see the bird looking him straight in the eye, and he wondered what it was thinking. At that very moment, Charlie wished that he was a bird, and that he could take off into the bright blue sky, soaring over all of the busy traffic and the heads of the people below. Then the bird jumped as the car horn sounded, and they set off again. And for a few seconds it looked puzzled, as if it didn't know whether to stay or go. And then it flew off into the clouds, still with the fat chip hanging from its mouth. The closer they got to the sights, the more impressive they seemed. Charlie couldn't wait to get out of the car and walk round. Then, as the car slowed to a halt, he had his chance, and they were among the crowds. "Where shall we go, Mum?" said Charlie, getting a little too excited. "Give me a minute," his mum said, and she scanned left and right and she adjusted her glasses on her nose. She wanted to look as confident as possible, but in reality she didn't have a clue. Mary was getting a headache with the stress of the journey and the endless noise. She badly needed a break. "Let's go to the beach," she said, and they walked down the sandy steps happily. Charlie shielded his eyes from the blasting sun, and he marveled at the beauty of the icy blue sky. It was as if it had been newly painted, and the paint was glossy and fresh, he thought. The beach was full of people enjoying themselves, and the sounds of shrieking seagulls mingled with the jarring sounds of the rides. It was exhilarating. "I need to lay down," said Mary, and she quickly spotted two lone deck chairs among a sea of taken ones. "Thank God for that," she said as she flopped down. Charlie lay next to her, and he was exhausted too, and they lay there and watched the world go by. Then Mary reached into her bag for a book to read as Charlie drifted in and out of sleep. It was so difficult to stay awake. Mary had never felt so relaxed or so happy, and she knew that she deserved it. All of the sounds dissolved as she sank into the pages of her book, and Charlie opened his eyes and he watched the crowds having fun. People were building sandcastles, and young boys and girls were chasing happy-looking dogs across the golden sand. They were panting heavily, and their tongues were hanging out as if they were dying for a drink. But it was probably just excitement, Charlie thought. It reminded him of how thirsty he was, and he decided to buy a bottle of water. He left Mary deep in her book, and he set off unsteadily across the sand. The sand was warm and comfortable under his feet, but it made him sway like a drunkard. He was amused at his own wobbliness, and at last he found a vendor, and he sat on the steps and drank slowly, taking in the beautiful view, like an artist considering the beauty of a flower, and then something caught his eye. Keep that there.